I got to read, and I got a special read for you guys. You know why?
No.
New sponsor alert. Are you guys ready?
Right. I heard about
give me a
this.
drum. Everyone give me a drum roll real quick. A big sponsor alert.
Woo! Looks like an earthquake back there.
We officially have a sportsbook sponsor. Guys, if you're trying to snap into the NFL action this season, you better be doing it with FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. It's also the #1 sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Right now, brand new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 win or lose regardless of the outcome. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. The Browns and the Colts this weekend, if you're looking to place a wager, maybe you're riding high on Browns Kool-Aid fever, well, you better be using FanDuel, and you better be using FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the action. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, and FanDuel.com/UCSS, the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Yeah, and we know how loyal our fans are. We know. Well, our subscribers now are over, 31,000?
Yes.
Let's take 1 second to do this. We do it from time to time, but while we have a huge audience, it's important right now. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, maybe you watched the Bills-Giants last night, and the very first commercial you see on Channel 3 after the game was Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And you're like, what is this? And how has this not been a regular part of my life? We're here every day. Hit the subscribe button. And you know how important this is. Hit the like button. Free. Cost you nothing. Subscribe. Cost you nothing. You'll get updates and alerts whenever we go live. We're always live 11 to 1 Monday through Friday. We're always live at the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter of all Browns games. But we're also live if there's a big trade. Say 2 weeks from now, the Browns make a huge trade for a wide receiver. You want to be the first one to know about that and to hear what the guys are saying about that. You'll get an alert when you subscribe. You'll be able to click on and watch our breaking news coverage of anything big like that, Cleveland sports, not just Browns, Cavs, and Guardians as well.
And before we move on real quick, we're trying to break a views record today. We were so close in week 1 of hitting 4K concurrence.
Yeah.
We're at 37 right now. Tell your sister, your mom, your brother, your friend, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your grandpa, I don't care, your coworker. Tell them to tune in. We're trying to break 4,000 today.
What's our show record? Do we know?
Well, yeah, but we don't know till the next day, so it's not
true.
irrelevant right now.
True.
Let's talk about Kevin Stefanski real quick. G, you alluded to this before. He's beaten Cincinnati on a regular, consistent basis. He is yet to beat a team before yesterday of the caliber of San Francisco in the regular season. So, G, I'll start with you on this. Is this officially a signature win for Mr. Kevin Stefanski?
Yep. I totally agree. Big time win because he could have came out here and got boat raced. The 49ers were coming off their biggest win of the season against the Dallas Cowboys. And Kevin Stefanski, we know the laundry list of people he didn't have in. But one of the things that he did was he kept the game muddy, ugly, and played to his strength. There was a couple of times that I really wanted him to run the football a little more or run in certain circumstances. And I like the fact that you did come out and protect yourself. You did say P.J. Walker threw that ball at the end of the game. He was not supposed to throw the ball, and he was crazy for trying to do it. See, Kevin, sometimes telling the truth really actually works. Because we was getting on you, but I'm like, why would you be throwing the ball, even giving him an opportunity down there when you could have ran the ball 3 times, had 3 timeouts, and left no time on the clock? But the cool thing that I liked about what he did in that game was he dusted off Kareem Hunt. He dusted him off and said, listen, we're going to need you, big fella. We're going to need you. It doesn't look pretty in the game
You
plan.
called for that, by the way, on Friday.
Yes, I did. That's another one of the crystal ball type deals that I had yesterday or last week. Kareem Hunt ran the ball aggressively. I like what he did. And I like the fact that he mixed it up just enough where there wasn't all kind of crazy protections and crazy stuff happening what was happening with DTR, where people just coming free in the backfield, people blitzing you. I thought the protection schemes was better. And plus, the best thing that he did is he said, listen, I'm going to let the defense lead. I'm going to let the defense handle that. And Jim Schwartz looked like he had people angry all last week because I know was in the film room talking about what Baltimore was doing. I thought they came out with a chip on their shoulder, and what Kevin Stefanski did, it says, listen, with this defense, punting is okay sometimes.
Sure.
And you look like you got a punter, and it looks like you got a kicker.
Looks like
Iroquois
averaged almost 55 yards a punt yesterday.
I mean, special teams are now playing a factor.
Yeah.
I like the changes that he made, and he got DPJ off the kick, the punt return team too. I like that.
I thought.
Did DPJ play yesterday?
Yeah. I think he got kidnapped with George Kittle. Yeah.
I
He's on
thought
that milk cart. He had no catches.
Milk box.
I thought Kevin Stefanski was great yesterday. He did a magnificent job. He's been unfairly maligned quite often, and I thought he was tremendous. I thought the game plan was great. He ran the ball. What, they run 35 times? The only reason
It was 34 to 34.
Yeah, the only reason
Exact 500
The
split.
only reason it was 50-50 is because they had to throw in those last couple of drives to try to come back because they had been run heavy. They stuck with it. They were running the ball effectively, but there were times early where they would struggle a little bit with the run, and he kept sticking with it. And G was right. Good call to use Kareem Hunt, but Jerome Ford in the second half was great. He had a lot of big runs. He moved the chains. They didn't get greedy. Listen, you were playing with a quarterback who's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He missed some easy throws on a couple of those last couple of drives. Easy throws.
Practice
wide
squad.
open receivers. And yet, because of the running game and because of the penalties and because of the defense. But I thought Stefanski, it was a terrible decision by P.J. Walker to throw that ball, obviously, in the end zone. Even if you're supposed to throw there, you only throw it if somebody's wide open. Not into traffic in that situation doesn't make any sense.
Never.
He got lucky, but I thought Stefanski had a great game plan. I thought he deserved an A+ for the game.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument out of me. I've thought all along that he's a much better coach than people give him credit for. I don't think the running game's fixed by any means, but Ford did have a couple of really nice runs in the second half. He got stoned pretty hard in the first half.
Yeah.
Kareem, he had a couple of great runs. I'll give him his due on that.
He's serviceable. Come on, he's better. He's not completely washed.
Hey, there was a couple plays.
I
of
said
5
he's missing
yards.
one wheel. He's missing one wheel.
Hey,
I
5
still,
yards, 6
I still don't
yards.
think he is.
Oh.
He's
averaging 3.3 yards a carry.
I know,
guys.
but here's what you
Tough.
can't measure. You always say about stats, they don't measure that.
Yeah.
He takes his pound of flesh on the defense when he runs the ball.
You know what I liked? I liked that
He runs hard.
I liked that they went to Kareem on the last possession because you have more faith in his ball security.
I did too.
Than the young
He's
guy.
fumbled once in 1,300
But I
carries.
thought Ford was overall the better back of the
Oh, he
two
was.
guys.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
But,
But
Kareem Hunt
But Kareem
is
Hunt's
still
still
serviceable.
Kareem's not what he was. We know that. But he's still got something.
That's the only
left.
point I've
That's
made
it.
is like
That's it.
he's got 3 wheels. So know what you've got going
Well,
in.
you know what? If
Yeah.
that's what he looks like with 3 wheels, I'll take it.
That's fine.
And I really like the touchdown call with Harrison Bryant
that was brilliant.
because everyone's expecting the quarter the keeper.
All the trick plays worked.
and now they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick.
Well,
on this play,
that's how it works. They're always brilliant when they work.
wait, real quick.
When they don't work, they suck.
On this play, and the dots do a better job than any replay can. Look where all of San Francisco's defense, and we can't start from the game, but when this refreshes.
Right now, he's surrounded by 3 guys.
Look where all the linemen were to then pitch it out.
Yeah.
I think Bull could have ran that one in.
Well,
all
by the
honesty.
way, I just was pretty harsh on DPJ. DPJ threw a pretty key block on that run, didn't he?
He did.
And we got to give him credit for that. One thing, can you go back to the Stefanski bio card? One
Yes, we
thing that's
can.
troubling to me, guys, because yes, much better job calling plays. We asked, could he stamp his genius card if he beats the Niners on Friday? We asked.
Oh,
that.
no, we're not
Not
going
a
there.
genius.
Here's
He's
what
a
really
genius.
troubles me: is that last number.
Well, he was 1-23 before.
I know.
yesterday.
Yesterday was one of the 2 wins that he's been able to pull out when trailing by 4 points.
Does that include
in the fourth
2020?
quarter. Everything. That's
Yeah,
his whole,
that's as a head coach.
Yeah, as a head
coach.
coach. That's concerning.
Well, most teams have a bad record in those situations.
You got to have some comeback wins.
That
You
is
got-
real
Yeah,
quick.
sure.
Just for context,
It's worse, right? In the
that's the second worst. The
Okay.
Panthers are the only team
Yeah,
with
you're right.
fewer wins.
I saw that.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yep. Can't.
Yeah,
can't
And
make
part of it
excuses
also
for either.
is look at the quarterback play and late game got to have a moments. It has not been good.
No,
If
the
you-
quarterbacks and the coach take credit for that.
Yeah.
Or
Now,
blame.
Yeah.
I'm with Jason. There's a lot of times where the Browns will be moving, and how many times have we seen interceptions that end the game?
Key late.
Just like we got.
We
the
almost
ball-
saw it yesterday.
We almost saw it yesterday. That's a function of if your quarterback can understand the moment, right? Some quarterbacks are arrogant enough to think they got an arm to fit it in other places, and some quarterbacks ain't smart enough to understand that you shouldn't throw it there. Like so.
But isn't the coach's job? Like I was hot last night that Brian Daboll was throwing a fit over what Tyrod Taylor did at the end of the quarter. If you didn't see it, just before halftime, they had 12 seconds left. He checked out of a pass play because they could have thrown 3 plays in that 12 seconds.
To a run.
He checked that into a run, and that was it. They get no points. And Daboll is screaming at his coordinator and screaming at his quarterback. You're the head coach. All that's under your purview.
Okay, but what
how's
are
that his
you
fault?
supposed to do if the quarterback says
no? I'm going to tell you right now.
timeout.
Why is the checkout play a run?
No. Here's what you do when they call that play, and you call it in his helmet.
You say no.
He's like, and guess what? No checking to a run. Do not check to a run.
Well, gee, the way you call that situation is you have 2 plays called, but the check down play is also a pass. So you can still look at the defense, see what they're in, and now call to a pass that you think might work better against that alignment. A run should never been an option in that sequence.
I don't know how you blame Kevin for PJ throwing into triple coverage in the end zone.
No.
But I'm bringing it back to the Browns.
Ultimately,
all
though,
on the quarterback.
that's on PJ.
And I do think, you run it there, you make San Francisco use its last timeout, you kick the field goal. But I get Kevin's always going to go for 6.
Thinking of a
and I think they should.
And I like that mentality.
Because if you go for 6, now you're forcing them to go for 6
Right.
the
That's
other
right.
way.
Because they only needed a field goal.
Everyone's screaming, why are you throwing it there?
Right,
well,
that was stupid.
That's why you're throwing it there, because
I'm
you're going
okay
for
with
6.
the decision to throw, but here's what has to be drilled into the head of all the quarterbacks, and not just Browns quarterbacks, all quarterbacks. Your best throw is a wide open receiver. The only other throw is sailing it out of bounds. That's it.
I hear you, Jay. It's easy to say in the moment.
Yeah,
when
but
you're
too
on
many
the
of these
moment
guys
on the
are trying to
field, guys
force-
are feeling the pressure, trying to make a play.
Don't feel it. Take the automatic points that give
I'm
you
just
the
saying
lead.
it's easy for us to say
Yes.
not playing
If
in
it
the
was
game.
a regular quarterback, I wouldn't have no problem throwing it. But if it's a third string backup, no.
But I got no problem
Yeah,
with
I'm
him throwing.
with you, G. I'm with
It
you.
was
3
clear he
runs.
told him to not throw it.
Yeah, but that was only
I
throwing
like
that
the aggressive
situation.
mentality, though. I love the idea.
I thought going for a touchdown there was the right thing.
Yeah, and it worked out.
end.
And fortunately, their kicker missed the kick at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that we're okay with today, we would be putting a hot magnifying glass on had that kick sailed through the uprights, because now you can go back and cherry pick any number of things that in the moment seemed egregious.
Yeah.
But that's why, when you win games, it just hides. It's the great eraser.
Actually, the only beef I had with Stefanski was when they, on fourth down, tried to draw him off sides and called a timeout.
Yeah, that almost
that was
bad.
stupid. That didn't
was
make
bad.
any sense.
Yeah.
That was a mistake by Stefanski. That was my only beef with him in the game, really.
Man,
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I just be happy for the people, because how many games I can't remember a game when in my lifetime, and I'm 42. I can't remember a game when it gets down to that, and you start to see the momentum shifting and the events happening in succession, where you're like, oh no, this is about to happen.
Did you
again.
think? Did anybody think he was going to miss that kick?
No.
I didn't.
In fact, when they got the ball to start the last drive, with the time on the clock and everything, I said, okay, I've seen this movie. I've seen it a lot. I know the script by heart.
The script, yeah.
They'll have a dumb penalty, keep a drive alive. They'll move the ball down the field. They'll get into field goal range, and the kicker will split the uprights, and the Browns lose another heartbreaker. And that's the way it unfolded. Dumb penalty. Here they go. Boom, boom, boom. The quarterback has been a dud all game. Gets them down close. A very makeable kick.
Yeah.
Very makeable kick.
Yep.
By a great kicker.
That's football.
And it went the other way. And I was like, finally, I was happy for all the
I know.
people. Finally, y'all get to go to work on Monday and be like, that was a doggone shame. I feel sorry for them. They missed that field goal. We'll take the win.
You could argue it's a loser mentality. I tweeted, when the Browns were losing towards the end, I'm like, hey, listen, I think the Browns have played as well as they could today. I'm not going to kill them if they lose this game.
I felt the exact same way.
But go find a way to win, and they did.
That was one of those games we talked about on Friday. If they lose a close game, it's not a win, but there are things you can take from it.
Yeah.
Giving the players today off. Do you like that, Jay?
Yeah, they earned it.
Yep, I like it too. I like it a lot.
They earned
Love
it.
it.
They're
I
coming
like it
off
a
the
lot.
bye, but they
Yep.
with that type of performance, you can give them the day
I think
off.
they earned it. That extra day is going to mean a lot, and it's also like a reward system.
This is really interesting. Zach tweeted this. Mike, I don't know if you can pull it up off of Zach Jackson's Twitter account.
Zach, yeah, I'll find it.
The weather applied metrics we were talking about the wind earlier, how the wind affected the last kick. Basically, the wind pushed that last kick 2.3 yards to the right.
Thank you, Lake Erie.
The initial kick was less than a half of a yard from the center.
Wow.
And then
amazing.
the spin took it less than a yard to the right, and it was the wind that pushed it the rest
How the hell
of
do
the
they
way.
measure that?
Isn't that ridiculous?
I don't know
these
how
things?
they measure
How do you
that.
possibly know that?
Shout out to Hopkins.
By the way,
He been putting them boys right
I
down
know
the
he
middle.
has.
Although he
I
missed
know he
right
has.
down the middle.
It's
you know
okay.
what's funny
He
is he
made 4 or
missed that
5.
first one, and I'm like, oh, is this the day it goes south
Yeah,
for him?
I know.
And then with
because
that-
Jason's been saying,
Right.
oh, these kicks are easy. He's supposed to make them. Let's see what happens when the weather gets
he's
bad.
right, because Cade York
Yes.
hit his kicks early,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And then the weather went bad, and Cade
He's
York
the
went
first
bad.
kicker since Cade York to make 4 kicks in a game.
Wow.
Cade did it last year, early in the season.
That's right.
And then the wheels fell off.
Where you get this Tecmo screen from?
Yeah. By the way, how come they can figure this out, but they can't
Even
figure
the font, bro.
I'm like, yo.
Guys, how come they can figure this out, but they need freaking chains to tell you about a first down? Can
I
we
like
get
the
something
chains.
in the ball? That was
Well,
not
wait
a
a
first.
minute.
The
I like
Browns
the
had
chains.
gotten that first down.
That they measured, it was almost like the fix was in.
Yeah, that-
First of all, they gave him a terrible spot,
I was
and
hot.
then they measure it, and the tip of the ball is at the sticks, and he goes like this, and then he picked the ball up and tried to move it
Yeah,
backwards.
then they
I'm
tried-
like, what are you guys doing?
I said, you can't pick the ball up. I said, he really picked the ball up, and they did it again.
See, I
moved it.
couldn't see that from the press box,
It
but
was-
I saw Wyatt Teller lost his mind.
Well,
on
he
the
should.
Field.
Right.
He was like,
And-
"You
and-
gotta be kidding
They
me!"
tried, yeah. I don't know who it was in the telecast, but one of them said, well, maybe the angle was wrong. The angle was right down the line. You
Yeah.
could see the tip of the ball was right at the stick.
I literally.
I don't know what happened. The referees are not cheating. But
No, I'm not
they
suggesting they are, but in that moment, it sure
felt
looked like the
it.
fix
Oh, I'm
was
more
in.
than suggested. I said
I
they're
know.
on FanDuel.
And you were emotional, and I get it. Again, if a referee was going to cheat, he wouldn't make it that obvious.
Well, when he picked the ball up and it was touching the
crazy.
stick, and then he moved it back about 10 inches, I'm like, what am I
It
looking
was
at?
crazy,
right now?
but in the end, the replay did
And
fix
that's
it.
the first time I've seen a spot overturned on replay. They never
No, they hate
overturn a
doing
spot.
it. They
It
hate-
was
but
clear.
it was obvious.
It was clear.
And then,
was
and
clear.
then the
Yeah.
face mask they called on the punt, where the guy is just literally just face masking him. And they said they called on the Browns, and then
they fixed it.
And you see
He got the right number, wrong team.
Yeah.
He seen the replay. I said, "Oh no, this can't be. This can't be like
Hey,
no,
listen,
no.
the
no,
Browns
no.
got the benefit of the calls in the second half.
You know what? That's a
Yeah.
good point. And
Yeah.
let's talk about a key penalty
Before
that
real
helped
quick,
the
before we
Browns
switch
win.
over to penalties, let me get a reading because we got
Okay.
we got a bunch of sponsors.
Don't let
now,
me lose
so
that thought.
We got to get reads in. Next up, real quick, if you need comfortable clothes for the upcoming Brown season, Bird Dogs, where to be at. They're casual, comfortable, athletic, and stylish. Check them out, birddogs.com.
Okay,
Jay, back to you.
so the penalty
Two in a row.
yes.
Yeah.
Which, both of them, look, if they were called against our team, we'd be going absolutely nuts.
Yes, 100%.
But they were called in our favor. We deserve a few. History tells us we'll take them, and we're not going to apologize.
Never should.
However, on the targeting, well, it's not targeting, but on the defenseless receiver call. If you watch the Bills-Giants game, there was a play in a key moment of the game that looked identical.
Yep.
And they threw the flag, and they talked about it, and they said, nope, it wasn't to the head and neck area. It was to the shoulders, and they picked up the flag. In truth, that call, that was a huge break for us because it wasn't to the head and neck area. It was right here. It looked perfectly legal. Without that, we're talking about a much different outcome right now.
Now, listen, and it would have been fourth
But
down.
I'm not apologizing.
It would have been.
It's
could have
part
converted
of
fourth
the
down.
game.
It is part of the
There's
game.
bad
You take the
calls
good with
that
the
go
bad.
against every team,
Yep.
and fans always whine about it for their teams. I
Right.
can't stand it. You got to find a way to overcome. And then even the holding penalty on the Niners, the next call, was very questionable.
I thought it was
but who
too.
cares?
But I'm
You
not going to
gotta break-
apologize
Yeah.
because how many times have those calls
That's
gone
right.
against us?
That's right.
Hopefully they all come out in the wash. I think that officiating crew, though, all things considered, was one of the worst officiating jobs I've seen on a game this year.
I thought there were like 10 bad calls.
There were 24 penalties called in the game. I mean, think about that.
It was the most in the NFL this season, not only in number of flags, but in penalty yards in totality.
Go back to the
hard to watch.
Go back to the face mask one. They played it on the stadium scoreboard, and then they rewound it in real time, and then played it again, and then rewound it and played it. When he came back on and said, after discussing,
I know.
it was on a
of
60,
Yeah,
course,
I know.
they're not supposed to watch it, but they do.
Oh, how do you not? It's
Yeah.
right there, and
Yeah.
they kept running it back and over and over
Yeah,
again.
that was funny.
And
And it was
sometimes-
almost like he was chiding the fans, like he was saying, "We get it."
But he did say, "Sorry for the confusion."
Yeah,
I've never
I
heard
know.
an official
That
say
was
that.
a great
They
call.
have to work with these officials because it's getting to the point where they feel like if there's a big play, something had to happen where that big play happened. Like, they're looking for reasons to be like, oh, big play. Did you hold?
Yeah.
Was that pass interference? You're like, listen, I would like to see guys win games on the field. But
if there's a penalty, it should be called.
Yes,
should not be called.
But
I thought that crew was looking for things. Their eyes were very sharp.
I thought it was. I don't disagree at all. I thought that was a poorly called game. In fairness to the officials, we're watching these in slow motion replay, and they got to do everything.
And if we got 15 angles for replay,
exactly. Except for the one time where Amari Cooper just ran for a touchdown, and he clearly
there was no excuse for that because the ref was right there looking right at the sideline.
I agree that I thought it was particularly bad, obviously for both teams yesterday.
We talked about Jim Schwartz's dominance over what many think is one of the best coaches in the NFL, clearly one of the top offensive minds. Guys, this isn't a small sample size now. He's 9-1 against the guy.
But even as
what does he have over him? What is it that he's taking away what they do best? Is it pressure? Because at this point, it's not an anomaly.
No,
he owns him.
Yeah,
he is living rent free in his head.
In 10 games. 20 points once in 10 games.
That's
a Shanahan offense who had scored 30 points in 10 of 11 with Brock Purdy.
You know what? If you go back, I would love to know the percentage of games coached by Shanahan where he was either the primary play caller, either the offensive coordinator or the head coach. The number of times that his teams, first of all, has been held below 20 points.
Yeah, but the 9-1 includes a couple of games where he was a position coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 6-1.
We should take those out. It's still
so
like 6
now
or
it is 7-1.
Well, even
sample
we
that's
should
a
just
huge
use
sample.
that.
7-1 is fine with me. 7-1. Like, there's something there. I don't know what it is, but he is living in his head.
When you get Shanahan, they're so multiple in what they do. They do a lot of misdirection stuff. They run from different platforms. Like, they just do a really good job of keeping you off key. So if you're a team that has a bunch of keys and a bunch of reads, and we're going to switch to this coverage if they come out in this formation, you're going to get bogged down. And by the time you know it, they're running a play and they just ran a reverse, or they ran a jet motion play. But, Jim Schwartz has figured out the Holy Grail, and it's been there right in front of everybody's face. If you simply be destructive and you are dismantling people up front and you have penetration everywhere, there's nothing you can do. Pulling doesn't work. Play action doesn't work. Running outside doesn't work. If you simplify things and you say, guys up front, all I want you to do is see if you can put your hands through that guy's shoulder pads and knock him back 15 yards every play.
Yeah.
Just like Jason
so it's just
said.
Aggression.
Just Jason said. When George Kittle gets punched in the mouth and he's like, dang, Myles Garrett he just sacrificed himself on that play just to put me in the stands. That changes everything. Now you're taking something away. Now Christian McCaffrey got to make 2 or 3 moves because there's a guy standing right in front of him and he cuts right into another guy. He does a good job of just saying, I'm going to bet that my guys are going to play man-to-man coverage because I know they're good at it, and my guys up front are going to be in the backfield.
So it's really a point of attack.
And think about it. McCaffrey, after that first drive, hadn't done anything until the time he got hurt. But I thought the Niners made a huge mistake. They got away from the run.
Yep.
That was they barely ran the ball in the second half.
Way too early.
Yeah, and you know who had a huge game out of nowhere yesterday for the Browns? Rodney McLeod.
He led them in tackles.
He was fantastic.
He
made a lot of plays in that game.
Yeah, he led them in tackles, I think, with 8 and 7 solo tackles.
Is there anybody on the Browns defense that's not playing well?